Welcome back, Panther fans. I'm David Brown, along with Ryan Graham.
Hey, y'all.
Tim Thurber.
Hello.
Our special guest, Scott Watkins. And This is State of Atlanta. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Scott.
Hey. First beer of the evening.
Oh, wow. You're going to be sober for this?
No, I'm lying. This is like my fifth or sixth, something like that.
First beer of the evening, but you're already down a box of wine. Is that where you're
at? Evening doesn't begin until 9 p.m., so.
Okay, gotcha.
Got it.
It's only 8 p.m. where Scott is, so
weird.
Give him a break there.
Weird.
Yeah, so how's everybody's week? I got a little week one action of football in. Did you guys watch?
Oh, yeah.
Should I ask who Scott is? Because I feel like our listeners may not know.
We'll get there to it, but yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Scott Watkins of Panther Talk fame and the new Sunbelt pages that we will dive into here quite a bit. Scott spent a lot of time reviewing all the teams in the Sunbelt, and thought it would be cool to have him on to tell us why he thinks that Georgia State's going to suck so bad this season. So, well, I guess since Ryan was so interested, we'll get right into that. Yeah, so Scott, tell us about what the Sunbelt pages are and what the idea behind it was and everything like that.
The Sunbelt pages is just a preseason magazine like you see anywhere else, but it's dedicated to the Sunbelt, which I don't think exists anywhere else. Right now, it's totally digital. The idea behind it was incredibly random. I was at my part-time job at a grocery store, and I walked by the magazines, and I was like, you know what? Why don't I just make a magazine for Sunbelt football? I texted my friend Thomas Gleaton, who designed the whole thing, edited all of it, put it together. And once I told him that I would write all of it, do all the writing, he jumped on board, and we made it happen.
So that sounds a lot like Ryan and me with this whole podcast. I was like, hey, we should do a podcast about this, about Georgia State. And he's like, oh, I guess. I'm like, well, don't worry. I'll be the host, and I'll ask all the questions and do all the research. And you just go like dumb man on the street with no idea what I'm going to talk about. And he's like, cool, can I drink? I'm like, yeah. So
that's sort of the point. All right, I'm in.
But Tom did put some work into it. He kind of put the whole thing together, though, right? According to the introduction and stuff.
He did. He got all the photos. He emailed a lot of people to make sure we could use those photos, and then he stuck everything together. He copy edited all my work too.
I
feel like I didn't do anything. I mean, I just put the words on the paper, and then he did all the rest of it. It's really his baby. I just can't.
So humble.
Well, it's kind of like those group projects at classes at Georgia State where, you'd have, I was always the kind of guy that would delegate out the responsibilities to everybody else. And then my job was to assemble what they had put together and turn in the project. They did all the work. I just kind of assembled it once they did all of that.
I think that's work, though.
It is work, but it's way easier than doing research and stuff. It's just
to each their own. You were good at putting things together. They were good at research. I mean,
yeah,
hopefully they were good at it.
So, where can people get the Sunbelt pages before we get into it?
I know the link is floating out there on Facebook, but I wish we had a Facebook page where I could tell you to go to, but we don't. So really, it's being sold primarily out of our Twitter account and my Twitter account and Thomas's Twitter account. We just put up a Sunbelt Pages Twitter account. It's SB Pages. That's it. It's in the pin tweet.
All right. I'll be sure to.
It's not in the pin tweet. I lied to all of you. It's in my tweet.
All right. Well, I will link to it in the description. I'll try to remember to link to it in the description.
It's $2 right now.
Yeah, I need to talk about that. I paid the full $6, man. Come on. I need $4 back.
Hey, we talked about it. We're like, hey, everybody's gonna be mad that they paid $6. But at the end of the day, we just don't care.
No, that's good. It's good. I mean, it's well worth it. It's like you said, 30 pages, good overview of the Sun Belt, especially in its past 10 years of the kind of current formation-ish a little bit. Some good things about that. And then, good break. You got to go down to a breakdown on all the teams. I didn't read all the teams stuff, but I definitely read what you had to say about us.
What do they have to say about us? Good stuff?
Well, I'm not going to give everything away because you need to go buy the Sunbelt pages yourself. But I will. I'll do as many little teasers as I can to get people interested. So one of the things that you mentioned in there I thought was kind of interesting. when we came into it, or I guess shortly from coming into it, New Mexico State and Idaho were members with us, and there was a lot of like when they got dropped by the conference, there was a lot of talk about how that was a bad decision to lose those teams. But you make a good point that the conference has been the best it's ever been since they got dropped.
Yeah, I never really understood anybody that wanted those two teams to stay in. They never brought anything to the table. New Mexico State was football only, so they didn't bring that basketball program with them.
Right.
They offered it. I know that. They offered the Sunbelt a lot of money to bring all of that to the Sunbelt, but the Sunbelt didn't want to do that. The whole tight conference thing, I think, was the way to go. Have everybody in the Southeast. Idaho didn't even try to get back in, so there's no reason to fuss about that. They made no offer. They were going down in.
Yeah, their little presentation for why they should be in there was like, because we are like. If you don't want us, then I don't care.
It's kind of wild that we had these schools like Idaho is just so far away. I mean, it's about as far away as you can be from here and not be like in another country, you know? I mean,
and it is another country. It's in Moscow, so it is another country, right? So Scott, we haven't met before. I don't think we've met before, but I'm a very sensitive soul. And so that's why I was not excited about booting two teams to the conference. I felt bad for those players and for the fan bases and everything.
You didn't feel bad. Get out of here.
I don't mean it kind of sucks to get kicked out of the conference. And Idaho did drop down to FCS, right? They weren't able to do anything.
That's where they belong.
But yeah,
I guess it sucks to be, getting kicked out of a conference that's the Sunbelt, right? I mean, one of the lower FBS conferences, hey, we need you out. Sorry, you're just not making the cut.
Next up, ULM. You're out, guys. Yes, you're done.
Whoa.
They may exit on their own accord whether or not we say anything or not.
But that's what I'm saying. They can't even have a program. No, you're done, man. You're out. Go play Duck Dynasty or whatever.
Duck Dynasty.
Maybe the only reason why they stay in, right?
It probably is, yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. You're talking about how how good the conference has been, and Brian, you joke about how bad it is to get kicked out of Sunbelt, but as Scott points out, shows in some things in the magazine, the pages, Sunbelt's been really kicking ass compared to the other G5 conferences as far as bowl wins and everything like that. Maybe it's another example of how much better the Sunbelt is than the other G5s because they actually can kick teams out and not worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. When you're at the very bottom, what's going to hurt you kicking somebody out? You're not going to get any worse. You replace New Mexico State and Idaho, App State and Georgia Southern, and that completely leveled up the Sunbelt to a whole new atmosphere, a whole new level. And I think that's kind of your proof. I mean, there was no reason to keep New Mexico State and Idaho in, just none whatsoever. And
sometimes you got to tighten it up. You got to lose a little to gain a little,
Yeah.
I don't know what any of that means, but I hear sports people say things like that.
I think even Lucas says that, right?
I didn't like at first that they stuck with just 10 teams. And I think part of that is we're seeing today why I didn't like it is the competition is really, really tight in this league. And it's very hard to move up that ladder. But at the end of the day, the money that's come from that is insane. I mean, the Sunbelt's bringing in money that Conference USA can't see, that MAC can't see, that's per team on the same level as the American and not West because it's only 10 teams. So
you talk about how tight the competition is, but really that only exists in the East Division, though, right? I mean, the West is really just Arkansas State and Louisiana battling out, whereas East is App State and then a huge gap. And then, well, then obviously, as much as I don't like talking about them, but Georgia Southern, Troy, and State have been kind of rounding out that second/third tier. If you can have three tiers inside of a 5-team division, with Coastal kind of coming up last, right?
They're their own tier.
I think you can when first and last are in their own tier. Yeah.
And so full disclosure, so Scott is a Troy guy, Troy alum. So that's.
But you were, didn't you write for Panther Talk for Georgia State last year? I think.
I did. I wrote all fall. I covered the first 5 home games in what was then GSU Stadium. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I appreciated I like the stuff you wrote. It was good stuff. So that's why one reason why I wanted to get you on when you put this together and everything. So we've we've struggled with Troy in both basketball and football. So you've got to really enjoy that, huh?
I've been pushing for a Troy-Georgia State basketball rivalry so hard. It has to be. It has to happen. It has to exist. It's a show. Every time Georgia State comes in Troy, it is a show, and it has to be a rivalry. The Sunbelt has to push this thing because it's fantastic.
But like as Southern says, it's only a rivalry if both teams win occasionally. And Troy keeps on kicking our ass.
Yeah, exactly. But if it's Troy that's beating, if you have the lower level team that's consistently beating the upper level team, I think you can create a rivalry out of that, especially when you have the dramatics that are happening within those games.
Yeah, Tim, you want to say something there?
No, I was going to say, I mean, we have to beat Troy in basketball at Troy. That's one of our problems. I went to one of the games, and it was a great game. It's just everything fell apart in the final minutes. And I was like, Troy hitting some crazy beyond three-point shot to win the game. Just,
Well, that's the theatrics he was talking about, though. But
I
just think you have to both sides have to like pull it out at some point, and for it to be a true rivalry.
Hey, Ryan, you're talking about pulling things out. We're not even in last call yet, dude. Come on, let's keep it down. It's supposed to be somewhat friendly for kids.
Oh boy.
So I wanted to ask your Troy fandom. Did that lead anywhere into your piss poor ranking of how Georgia State's going to perform this season?
Whoa! Wait, where did you have us ranked?
That was a nugget.
I don't remember.
Jesus. I bet David knows.
Let's just say you didn't put any East Division teams ahead of us.
Oh, all right.
Oh, that would be fifth, huh?
Yeah, so fifth in the division, yes.
So this ladder you talked about, really difficult to climb. We're at the bottom of the ladder. There's no way to climb
we're
it.
behind like Coastal?
In fact, he actually says that we're taking a step back because Coastal is going to leap over us this season.
Is it? So why is that? Is it because like quarterback question or what? Like what
defense?
Well, wait. Our defense cannot get worse, so it can't be our defense.
Georgia State's defense, I think that the whole rebuild on that side of the ball is going to finally come to fruition this year. That is in the magazine, and I think that you'll see a very good defense. But the Coastal Carolina front seven is just different from what the rest of the league has. I think it's more talented than anybody else in this league has. And I think that's a big reason why Coastal Carolina will move up that ladder. Really, all it takes, I think, is just beating Georgia State one-on-one to move up to fourth place. Really, I mean, it's very tight. It's a very tight league. You just have to win 2 games to reach that 6. And Coastal Carolina's been at 5 wins in the last 2 years. I feel like you just have to get over eventually.
How much would you bet on that? Like if you were betting money? Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a 0 for everyone listening, just so everybody knows.
He is a journalist. He has to keep that kind of part out of the whole thing. He's got to do it rationally, without any emotion. You don't have money on it. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it in previous episodes the past few weeks. Georgia State, once again, is just a huge unknown going into this season because you never know what kind of team's going to show up. Is it going to be a 0-win, a 2-win team, or is it going to be a bowl-eligible team? We have no idea. And defense and quarterback play, running back play is the big question. Now, I will give Scott some credit, though, for as bad as he ranked us in his preseason power rankings, the overview of Georgia State was very complimentary. I mean, it was a very you would not believe the results in the power rankings based off what he had to say about Georgia State. So it was, as a fan base that finds it hard to find any positive news about your program, it was refreshing to read. I liked it quite a bit. So.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you took some positives out of there. I didn't really hammer anybody, I thought. I just tried to talk about who was there, who was back, who was talented. And I wanted to highlight players and not really question marks,
Yeah, and I think you did a great job of that. It really is a good read. I do intend on reading all the other team profiles, mostly because I'm going to use that whenever we talk about that week's game. I'm just going to use your information as if it's my own research, just kind of like I did in college.
Also, you should just feel free to take some liberties and take pot shots at that school down south all you want. It's fine. It's cool. If you're gonna talk shit about somebody, they are the ones. So you're good for it, man. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. None of them can read that well anyway, so they're not like out there spending money on this paper.
They can't afford $2.
Right. I think I owe you some money for the paper now that I made that comment.
Yes, you do.
I feel like we should have sold some to them. The half of my followers on Twitter are Georgia Southern fans, so I would hope that they bought a couple.
I feel like the Southern fan base and the App State fan base are those that will buy anything about their programs at all. Like they'll use their food stamp. Do you take food stamps for these? Because that's what maybe Georgia Southern, all they have is like their WIC cards or something.
Are they each article, or is it only like 180 characters? Because that's all they can read at a time, you know? They get tired, have to go take a break, you know, take a nap.
I like how this is just turned into a bashing of Southern because
I'm in the mood.
Is there a good Troy? Does Troy have a good rivalry with Southern? Is that like a big rivalry for you guys?
I wouldn't say it's really a rivalry. I mean, it's more of a. If I were to compare the Troy fan base against the Georgia Southern fan base, it looks nothing like the Troy fan base against the South Alabama fan base or the UAB fan base.
So
nothing like that at all. It's
When
more
did
like
Troy come out of FCS though?
It's more of like a general respect. I think a big thing that happened over the offseason was our former kicker Ryan Kay joining the Georgia Southern ticket office, and so we're all like, okay, that's weird, but you know, whatever. We don't have a problem with Georgia Southern.
No, he's doing it to help you guys out. He's infiltrating. He's in there behind enemy lines.
That's what I said on Twitter. That's what he's doing. That's what he's out there to do. He's getting information from Georgia Southern, sending it back to Chicago.
I'm stuck on someone wanting to move to Statesboro.
It's in the world of pandemic. He's working remotely.
Ah, okay. Remote work.
Also, no, you just go live in Savannah and like you can commute if you need to. You know.
Yeah, because Savannah's only 125 degrees during August.
That's fine. It's still not Statesboro. It's still Savannah.
So off the wall question for you. Well, one, how long did it take you to put this whole thing together? Get everything right? Because I saw several times you were updating your word count and your page count on everything, but how long did it take you to
So when we started right at the beginning of June, and we were going at it. I mean, for a whole month we were trying to get after it, and then in July it seemed like the college football world was falling apart. It seemed like every single day this team has canceled their season. This team has canceled their season. Oh, Division II done. You know, the MAC done. The Big Ten gone. And it's like, there's not going to be a football season. Why are we writing this? So we literally stopped for like a solid 30 days. Didn't write anything. And then when August came around, it seemed like, you know, when the SEC decided it was going to stay, the Sunbelt has always followed the SEC's lead on everything. And it seemed like the Sunbelt was going to stay. So we got back at it, and it was crunch time. We were originally supposed to have an interview from a player or coach from every team. And we did the entire Sunbelt East in June and got to the Sunbelt West in August. So we weren't able to get some of those interviews done. And it was really stressful at the end trying to – UL Monroe was the last team that we did. And we could not get an interview. I mean, we were 3 days away from publishing it, and we couldn't get anybody. And finally got Adam Hunsucker to help us out. And he gave us something. And so we put it out. So we literally worked right up until the week of the very first college football game. I think it was UCA and Austin Peay.
Yep.
Yeah, so we
talked about it extensively a week ago.
We talk about the P a lot.
Yeah, we worked for about a month and 3 quarters probably all together.
That's crazy. So one of the things that obviously the magazine has, like anyone would, it has the list of the college or all the games, the schedule of games. How much fun was it updating that on a daily, hourly basis? Did you just like say, wait, we're just going to wait till we release and that'll be the last thing we do because that's all we're going to know about?
Yeah, you can ask Thomas about that because I didn't touch that. He did all the schedules. I find myself going through just to make sure that it's completely accurate because things just changed on a daily basis. But yeah, I can imagine that sucked for him.
Yeah, I was scrolling through the whole thing and I got the schedule. I'm like, I bet this part was just a pain in the ass to do.
I bet it was too. I think he saved that for the Sunday before the Monday we released.
Yeah, that would make sense. To wait up to the last possible minute for that. So, yeah, you guys got any questions at all about the whole thing?
What? No, I keep poking and prodding. I'm good.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Well, yeah, no, I don't got anything, man. Sorry.
So there's a couple of things I took out of there. It was pretty good. I mean, so one of the pages a couple pages goes through and ranks down like the best players by position across the Sun Belt. And despite Scott thinking that we're going to be the worst team in college football this season, he was pretty high on a number of players, multiple players making top 10 in there. We have no clue about how our kicking game is going to be, but he puts Noel Ruiz as number 2 kicker in the conference. So
we're going to have a good kicker?
We haven't had a punter yet, but yeah, we got a kicker. So
we talked about that one extensensively.
Yeah, and then I think who was it? The inside linebacker Trajan. You're pretty high on him at number 2 in the conference. So that's one of the things that was kind of so strange about it, is looking at the rankings, reading the overview, looking at the player profiles or the player ratings, and seeing Georgia State coming up so short. I think that I don't know. I think that your Troy fandom is clouding your judgment, and you just can't bring yourself to really admit how good we're going to be this season.
If you'll notice, Louisiana Monroe is also pretty low in the power rankings.
Below us, actually, yes.
If you go and take a look at the player rankings, you will find that they are probably the most talented team in the Sun Belt, right up there with App State, if you were to just base that solely off of the player rankings.
Oh, really?
It's very weird. I mean, one of those guys they lost, academic ineligibility, Kerry Starks, but they're still super talented. Josh Johnson is a top 2 running back. Corey Starter is a top 2 corner. And they've just got all these players in between that are just buried in that player rankings. But it's just the whole depth thing that they don't have, and just big questions mark that Georgia State has at quarterback.
Right.
That really adds to it. And so it's hard. Yeah, I think in the Sun Belt you got to have depth.
I don't believe we have a question mark at quarterback. We've always made do. Quarterback's not really been a weakness except for
every other year. It's a weakness every other year.
No, it's the 1 year. It's the 1 year where we decided a kicker was going to be our freaking quarterback.
That's what it's been the past 6 years. It's been,
who was bad?
Arbuckle comes in and we win 1 game. And then
it was not due to his play.
No. Then the next season we go to a bowl. Manning comes in, we win like 2 games, go to a bowl the next year.
Arbuckle was great. Connor was great in those games. It's not about one player.
No, it's not. But you were talking about quarterback play. So I'm saying what happens is we have.
And what I said was the quarterbacks were good throughout. We have not really had a lot of bad quarterbacks. Like
we haven't. You're right. Not in the FBS levels. We've actually had quality quarterbacks for the past.
Had some good luck. Yeah.
Just that it's taken a year for each of them to be on a team that was worthy of their talent.
There's a lot to it. There's a lot to winning a game besides just a quarterback, We
do have a question. We do have a question from John Weaver. And I'm going to toss this one to Scott because he researches a lot more about all the teams in the conference. And we're a bunch of drunks that talk about why Georgia State should be in the ACC. So who's the next coach to get hired away from a Sun Belt school, Scott? What do you think?
That is a tough question. Blake Anderson's on the market pretty much every single year. Seems like there's heavy discussion surrounding him every single year. If they can reach 9 or 10 wins, if they have a breakthrough season and get past Louisiana somehow, I think it's gone. App State might continue that little coaching carousel that Arkansas went through a while back, and they might, they win 12 games this year. Sean Clark might be gone. I think those are the top 2 options.
We were talking about it a little bit. App State has like a bit of a coaching tree going on, though.
Right.
Like with the coaches that are built up there and they're going elsewhere and like building up their programs everywhere they go. It seems kind of, it's like dynasty style, spreading out. It's cool.
Yeah, I feel like if history's to follow suit, does that make sense? It's going to be App State and Arkansas State. They're the schools that seem to be having quality coaches come in and last a year and
I mean,
gone.
Sean Elliott already has a win over Alabama under his belt, so I'm saying like maybe
when we show up to Tuscaloosa this Saturday and Bama doesn't show, then he has a win under his. But until then, they could decide to play the game.
I guess that's true.
Hey, you mentioned Billy Napier. I mean, if he gets 10, 12 wins, it's going to be hard to say no to him too.
Right.
Back him up. I mean, he's an Alabama guy, Nick Saban disciple too. So that's a huge added bonus.
That's Ulala, right?
Lafayette.
Yes.
Yeah. I had a direction I wanted to take that, and then I drank more beer, and I forgot which direction I wanted to go.
And I was over here talking shit about people and things.
Yeah, well, as you're known to do.
Scott, do you think you guys are going to do like a mid-season Sunbelt Pages update, or is this just a preseason digital mag?
We are kicking around a lot of ideas. I think that I want to grow this brand into something, see what I can create out of it. So we'll look at some things. I actually thought about doing some kind of a newsletter maybe each week. Just keep people updated like that, sort of like doing a mid-season update, but something small every week.
Well, I'd like to have you on before the Troy game as well to kind of preview that game with us. We'll see how the teams are looking at. That's late October. Have you come on and we can see how the two programs are looking up, and I can give you a hard time for how much better Georgia State's doing than you gave them credit for.
Well, they should be at least 2-2 at that point.
That actually sounds positive.
Hey, David, they did give us placement on the background image. We're like just to the left of the center, right? Just on the Sunbelt Pages logo.
Oh yeah, we get the.
I mean, that's pretty nice. We got some good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when he made that, I knew he was going to put the Troy. I knew he was going to have a Troy person there. I knew he was going to have App State and Louisiana. I think he did the Georgia State one for me just because he knew I had ties to it as well. So I had no input into it. He was just an incredibly thoughtful person when he put together that logo.
We'll have to thank Tom for us, but yeah, that's how pathetic our fan base is. We get excited when a picture of our guys ends up on the cover of a magazine. We're like, oh, you got to buy this now. It's got Georgia State on it. Support the brand.
Yeah.
Same thing that those other crappy schools do, but yeah. So I was actually thinking along the same lines as Tim with the a mid-season or end-of-season review type thing. What if this thing gets big? Are you going to take it beyond pages? I mean, like the Sunbelt volumes, the Sunbelt Chronicles, like just take it up like even bigger, like the Sunbelt Encyclopedia?
Maybe, potentially. I hope that we can do this again, though, because next year would be just infinitely easier with teams not canceling their seasons.
Right.
And us having a lot of time to actually do interviews and talk to people and get something big out there and hopefully something physical. That's definitely on my wish list. I want to put an actual magazine in people's hands.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Excellent. So based off of what you thought about the Sunbelt teams going into week one, one of the things the next subject I wanted to have us talk about was how the three Sunbelt teams that played did. Were you surprised by performances? Because I sure was.
Yeah, I'd definitely say so.
Yeah, I mean, so there was only one win out there, but even in their losses, Texas State and Arkansas State looked incredibly impressive against USM and Memphis, right?
Right.
Tell me that I'm right. Validate me.
I think that Arkansas State, they looked pretty solid in the first half. They made one bad decision in the second half that caused a snowball effect. When you're playing a team like Memphis with the speed that Memphis has across the board, you cannot make that one mistake. It will create that snowfall that ended that game. But the other two teams, I thought Texas State was phenomenal. I was shocked at how well they played defensively.
Right.
And, they came out really fun. Brady McBride was a lot of fun. I wasn't able to watch the South Alabama game, but Desmond Trotter was fantastic. Jalen Tolbert was great. They picked up right where they left off. The two of them torched Arkansas State at the end of last season.
Well, yeah, USA got Southern Miss's coach fired.
They did a great job.
The most weird football season of all time, and after one loss, the guy resigned.
You lost the wrong team. I don't know.
At home. Yeah. So you talk about the mistake that was Arkansas State? Yeah. Arkansas State was the one that did the kneel down, the fake kneel down.
They did the fake kneel
half.
I'm surprised they didn't try anything after it. That was really weird to me that they would get near midfield and then not just chunk it to the end zone. But then in the second half, they came out, they scored, and they kicked an onside kick and didn't get – I don't think you kick an onside kick in that situation.
Right.
You had several stops up to that point. Just do it again. Don't put your defense in a short field against a team like Memphis, who is very good at capitalizing on those situations. And it, as you saw, as we all saw, it just creates a situation where it puts Arkansas State 3 steps behind instead of just the 1 step it was behind at the time.
Yeah, that game was, I think it ended up being 10 or 13 point difference, but it felt like it was a much closer game throughout the entire thing watching it. So I did watch almost all. I watched almost all the games at the Sunbelt games this past week. It's tough watching games when you don't have a dog in the show, kind of thing. For me at least.
I'm getting better at it personally.
Well, you're more of a student of the game. You actually like all this stuff. Where I'm like, I just want to see my guy carry the ball across the end zone or launch it 80 yards into the end zone.
I think on Saturday you texted us being like, I'm watching out on my patio or something, and I went to find whatever game I wanted to watch, and it said it was on like CBS Sports, and I was like, oh well, I don't have any way of doing that, and so I just quit, and I haven't watched a single game of football still.
That's too much trouble. I can't look for that channel.
No, I've spent a lot of time looking for CBS Sports, and this year I was like, F that, I'm not doing it again. CBS Sports can eat it. I'm done. So, and that was the only game I wanted to watch. I think it was like Middle Tennessee and somebody.
Yeah, that wasn't worth watching.
No, that was the only one that looked interesting to me,
Yeah, I watched that game, and Middle Tennessee did not look.
Got smashed.
Yeah, they look rough. It was bad.
Yeah, so that was pretty rough.
Well, then I'm even happier I didn't spend time looking at it.
So Scott, you're welcome to stick around for the rest of the thing. We're going to go through our what our predictions were last week and talk about our predictions for next week. And I don't even know if I have anything after that. But you're welcome to stick around with us and everything, or take off. It's your call. But I don't want you to get bored because we've moved on from the Sunbelt Pages talk.
Oh, no, you're okay. I kind of want to force my opinion into next week.
I like it. That's exactly the answer I wanted to hear on this. So guys, one thing we did not discuss last week that I can recall because I was drinking, when we did our picks, were we doing covering the spread or just straight up wins?
I think we're just doing straight up.
Yeah, straight up wins.
Straight up wins. All right, cool. In that case, Tim and I are 2-1, and Ryan is 1-2. But had we gone point spread, Ryan would be in the lead. 2-1.
Dang, I think that's what we did. I think it was point spread.
Sure.
Yeah, so we all three of us screwed the pooch on the USA Southern Miss game. But then was it Arkansas State? Was it that 13 points was the actual spread of the game? So,
oof.
Yeah.
Well, so they didn't cover, right?
They did. Oh, shit, that's what I'm saying. It was the Texas State game because Texas State was within a touchdown of that game. So there was an 11.5 point spread. SMU was 11.5 point favorite. So Ryan, you picked Texas State in that game, but they just didn't get the point spread. I get that right? Man, I'm drunk already.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wrote this when I was sober too. I wrote this while I was at work today, not doing my.
If I just did everything that you guys did, I would have had no hope of winning. So sometimes you just got to go wild card.
All right, so I don't know what happened on that. Yeah. One thing that Texas State game is that Texas State was still doing the old Sunbelt logo on the field. So I guess they're like, we don't accept the new logo. Like we want to keep that star.
Apparently, you have a full extra year due to COVID to change out your logos.
Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah. The SMU. The SMU's uniforms I kind of dug because they had the Dallas script across the front. And I didn't like the script, but I like how they were repping Dallas on it. And then they had their logo over a D on their helmets that represent that. Georgia State needs to do more associate themselves with Atlanta. I know it's Georgia State, but being in Atlanta, you got to rep that, right?
That would look pretty dope if you had the Atlanta on the uniform somewhere, I think.
I think we should do the American Conference A and then put the Georgia State Panther head like right on top of that.
I don't think the Sunbelt will allow that.
We'll do it for now.
What are they gonna do? Tell us we can't play? I mean, like
they already kicked out New Mexico State and Idaho. They could kick us out too.
Okay, bye. You see the A, right? Bye.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
I guess so. So after watching the Sunbelt teams, all three Sunbelt teams play this past week, you feeling any better or worse about Georgia State going up against these three teams? Tim, I'll toss that one to you.
I mean, I feel worse, but I know it's only week 1, which I've been told by the Panther Talk faithful. Don't pay attention to Texas State looking good, and don't pay attention to South Alabama looking good. Don't worry about it. It's just week 1. Got plenty of time.
Yeah, well, Texas State looked bad last year and they beat us. They look good this year, so is it just going to reverse that?
Say if we weren't playing, we would look better. You know, I don't know how all that sentence worked out, negatives and positives, but what I was trying to say is that we may have looked better had we played.
Well, what if we played? So we would have played Murray State, and we did our typical FCS thing where we go down by 3 touchdowns and come back and win it by 3 in the fourth quarter. How would we looking compared to other Sunbelt teams? Scott.
I don't know, man. I mean, first of all, what you referenced there, I think that's hilarious. That Georgia State absolutely sucks against the FCS every single year. But it made for a phenomenal game last year. That was my very first Georgia State game last year. I had been to a couple before last year, but last year was my first game to cover, and that Georgia State Furman game was so much fun, and there were so many Furman fans there. So I can definitely appreciate Georgia State totally sucking against lesser competition.
Yeah. And we play horrible at home. Look, last year we actually went 5-1 at home, and that's
fantastic.
Our best record at home ever. Like by
weird. Yeah, that's weird.
Double digits, but yeah.
Oh yeah, it's your fault, Scott. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, when I started covering Troy, they went from being 4-8 to 10-3 that year. And so,
like for everyone that couldn't.
Last year, I stopped covering Troy. They go to 5-7. I start covering Georgia State. They go 7-6. It's
all
not.
Right, well, we need to get you. I'll talk to Ben. We'll get you on the PT payroll or on the PT payroll for the first time, and see if we can get Georgia State to start doing a lot better again.
I love that you think there's a payroll.
I said make it up.
You're on the payroll, right? I mean,
yeah, I see your name on their staff next to Ryan Graham.
Oh, not anymore because I don't even post on the message board anymore. I need to get back on. I was waiting for the football season to start, and it's still not started. So,
well, not for us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still not officially. So, but I do thank Scott for picking up where I left off, and doing all that good writing.
Yeah, no problem. It was a lot of fun.
Well, no, wait. You said Scott picked up where you left off with all that good writing, or he introduced good writing to Panther Talk.
What?
I was saying you did bad writing. It was a joke about your quality of content.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little for me, so I think you're shit talking though, and it's fine. Everyone can go back. It's all published, so.
Yes, it is. Anything else you guys want to talk about last week's games at all? It doesn't have to be Sunbelt games. It could be any of the games. Wasn't Georgia State games because Murray State backed out. The only thing I got
NCAA, whatever that last edition was, and Georgia State just clobbered the shit out of Bama. I didn't do that, but I should have.
The only thing I had is I was watching that BYU Navy game last night, and I think that maybe Navy should have opted out of the season. Like, it's not their time. That was no game to watch. I did not finish that one, but happy they scored a field goal. Yay!
They did. I watched the whole thing.
Ooh.
I don't know why.
You get the benefit of that central time zone thing.
Yeah, God's country over here, man. It cannot be better.
I'm from Memphis originally, so I grew up at Central. I like Eastern, but I grew up at Central, so I get you. I get you. All right, then. Week two. We got 5 Sunbelt teams playing, not Georgia State because Alabama forfeited. 3 P5 matchups with Lafayette, Arky State, and Coastal getting a rematch with Kansas, who they beat last year. You guys watching any of these games? Scott's gonna watch all of them. I get it. Scott's watching all of them. Ryan, you watching any of these games?
Is that this week? That's this coming week.
This is this Saturday.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It depends on what I'm doing on Saturday.
Well, it's college football season.
Well, it's not yet because Georgia State hasn't started playing.
So what happens on Georgia State's bye week? Is it not college football season anymore either?
I mean, Georgia's not playing either, are they?
I don't know about Georgia.
I haven't really.
They're not playing till
the SEC doesn't start to the following week.
Yeah, I mean, those are like my 2 teams, right? So
Georgia State took that whole Sunbelt Conference thing, saying that we're going to do what the SEC does a little too seriously. Like, oh no, if the SEC is not playing until the 19th, we're not playing until the 19th because we are an SEC team.
That's right.
I'll probably peek in on the Louisiana Iowa State game. It's at noon, so that's going to be an easy one. Maybe the Arkansas State, Kansas State, that'd be a good one to watch. That's mid-afternoon. That's a good one.
Oh, you got times listed. Look at you. You're not prepared.
You talked about these games. I'm like, shit, I don't know who's playing. I had to go look it up.
Well, I looked at it. I look at these games. I try what's the game that I really want to watch? And really, I mean, Lafayette, which I never want to watch Lafayette play anything, but they're playing ranked Iowa State. So they're expected to be a power in the West. So I guess that's the best Sunbelt game this week.
Yeah, I would say either. Yeah, I mean, it's against a ranked team. Outside of that, Arkansas State, Kansas State, and then at night you got Tulane, South Alabama, and Coastal Carolina and Kansas to see if they can repeat their upset another year. So you got games all throughout the day, and a lot of them are on ESPN. Fox Sports 1.
All Sunbelt teams are nationally televised this week. All of them.
The exposure they're all getting.
Heck yeah.
Thank you, Big Ten. Thank you, Pac-12. We appreciate it. But it doesn't get us any more money at all. But yeah. Scott, which games do you think are the ones to keep an eye on this week?
I think obviously Louisiana, of course, just because it's their first game. I remember watching their game against Mississippi State last year. I think that's what they opened with. They looked good for a while, and I want to see just how much better Louisiana might be, or maybe even worse. I don't know. I really want to watch that Tulane South Alabama game at the end because I don't know what to think about South Alabama right now, and I feel like this will help. Tulane is definitely a big step up in competition from Southern Miss, and but it's in Mobile. I feel like Tulane South Alabama. I feel like that's a game that should happen more often. It's a quick trip down Interstate 10 between the 2 schools. Who's got the real Mardi Gras? Mobile has the oldest. New Orleans has the best. So I feel like something could be created out of this.
Yeah.
Nothing in New Orleans is the best.
Magic words. Right, David. Go ahead.
No, I like what he's saying about the Tulane USA matchup because USA looked so strong last week, but Tulane's favored by 9 in that one. So this could be a chance for USA to really make a statement, or it could be a chance for them to, take a pounding like they're used to doing. Like that was their first road win in 473 years when they beat Southern Miss.
I still couldn't believe that since 2017, right? I can't literally look this stuff up. I'm like, there's no way they haven't had a road win since then. It's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting matchup. I don't know if I can get myself through an entire game looking at people that are in New Orleans. That's I mean, granted the game's in Mobile, so that's better, but those people still live in New Orleans. So that's pretty garbage. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all.
A lot of them aren't from there, but they are still from Louisiana.
I don't like him back from Louisiana.
Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't mind if Iowa State beats up on Louisiana.
So yeah, it's another point about the Lafayette game is we play them next week. So if they get a little banged up, then obviously not rooting for any injuries, except they're in Louisiana, so I am. But not rooting for injuries. but obviously that takes a change in our game. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Lafayette performs. Like, I'm gonna hate it if this game comes down like where Lafayette's just like scoring 50 points, loses by 4, but still scores 50 points, and I'm like, crap, we're gonna get slaughtered next week.
Fuqua's got it covered, guys. Again, don't worry about it. We're solid on defense.
Yeah, Tim is Team Fuqua.
I am.
That is too. Man. Earlier, he was saying our defense is going to take a giant step forward. I just don't. I don't get it. But I hope you're right.
Well, our defense has been so bad that we could like turn around and fall down and take a giant step forward.
I guess I did earlier say that our defense could not possibly get worse. So
we can give a touchdown on every drive.
I mean, that's basically what we had. So
yeah,
hopefully our quarterback's not so good that they score too fast, because then our defense is just going to keep losing. So
well, that's what I'm interested in seeing when we play in 2 weeks is what quarterback play looks like. That's going to be I mean, the defense we expect to be bad. So if it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's great. But I want to see what that quarterback play is going to be like. I think that I personally have been thinking negatively towards Quad, but I'm starting to feel like Quad's probably going to have a breakout kind of year. It's tough starting with Lafayette, but I kind of like.
And we all saw him last year, and it left a little to be desired. So I was sort of surprised to hear that he would be our starter, because I really thought people were lining up behind him, and it makes me a little sad that nobody kind of broke away from that, because
McKelly,
I saw it. I watched what happened.
Well, McKelly opted out, so it was really between Muhammad and.
It was never about McKelly, though, right? He was always going to take a red shirt.
Yeah, most likely. Well, with the rules this season, he probably could have played a little bit.
Most likely to take a. I mean, unless he was like a monster, he's always going to.
From what I've heard, is I guess Quad's been more of a classroom quarterback. Like, he's been able to read the defenses a little bit better than Muhammad.
I'll take it.
So that's a good thing, right?
You can get a cerebral quarterback in the Sunbelt, you'll do all right.
Yeah.
So
I agree. You know what? So we're going to do predictions, but how about we just talk offline on our predictions? Maybe do that during the last call, and we can post that out. I don't want to spend a lot of time going through the different games, and we can keep track of those. But right now, because of Ryan wanting to go straight up games, Tim and I are 2-1, and Ryan is 1-2.
Scott, you're gonna do last call with us, right?
Sure.
Cool. Right. We just leave here. We jump on Zoom.
We're not done yet, there, Ryan. So,
well, you were talking about last call.
You're wrong. There's actually one last thing I want to talk about that I think it came out today. Maybe it came out yesterday. And obviously, it's totally ridiculous to talk about bowl predictions right now in this season and everything. But we mentioned it last week, so I want to mention this week. College Football News put out a bowl projection, and all I saw was Georgia State versus Missouri in the Las Vegas Bowl. And I was already booking flights. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I know this game is not going to happen, but that is Las Vegas, an SEC team, Georgia State. Yes, I'm all in for this one. And then I did a little bit more looking at the article, and this was in their list of games that will never happen category. They went on to have their games that are possible to happen, most likely. They don't even think this bowl game will happen, period, let alone that Georgia State would be in it. So
what do you I was about to say, what do you think the likelihood of bowl season even happening is? Like, because I don't think there's a ton of money in bowls.
I think you'll see some form of the college football playoff, and you'll get some of your marquee bowls. But yeah, I don't
New Year's bowls, basically.
Yeah, New Year's 6 and the college football playoff. Yeah. I don't know about anything beyond that.
Yeah, it'll be weird. But then, because there's talk about the Big Ten and Pac-12 coming back late, like starting in October or something, which would put a lot more teams. I have no idea what the bowl situation is going to be like. I think that most G5s should probably just plan on. Most G5s that routinely see bowl games should probably plan on not having one this year, even if they do a good season. Yeah, your audio cut off there, for Ryan there. I don't know what you said. Oh, you're muted. That's why. Yeah.
I'm muted. I'm yelling at my kid.
That's all I really had. Scott, you want to chime in on what do you think? You pay attention more to this stuff than we do. What do you think about the bowl situation this season?
ESPN owns most of them, so it'll be their call when it gets to that time, and I have no idea what they're going to do. I mean, everything's going to look a lot different in November than it does right now. A lot different.
Right.
So it's going to be very hard to make a prediction.
That's a bold prediction, Scott. Bold.
I kind of hope that we have teams that just miss games. Like, I don't want anybody to be, unless they're a Louisiana player, I don't want anybody to be significantly harmed through injury or disease or anything. But if we can get teams that just like don't play 2 or 3 games as they reassess everything and the season continues going on, that chaos, I've been saying it for the past several weeks. I'm rooting for the chaos. I want this to be the weirdest season, but to finish. I want it, all the games to happen that can. So, yeah. All right. I think that's it. We can go to last call.
All right.
All right. Let's do it.
All right. So thanks, Ryan, as always. Thank you, Scott, for being here. We're going to go do last call. If there's anybody in the chat right now that wants to join us on last call, send us leave a comment, post, whatever. Message one of us. We'll send you a link. Next week, we will be talking to the guys from Rage and Review, the Lafayette podcast, and about that game coming up. Thanks to everyone for listening and watching. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, y'all.